Hey there, fellow travelers. Mark here with Wolters World, and today we're at the Bay of Vista Cloud Forest, about 2 hours outside of Quito, here in Ecuador. And today what we have for you are the don'ts of visiting Ecuador, okay? And the first don't I have for you is, don't think that Ecuador is just jungles. I've been talking to the locals and the guides here. They're like, Mark, could you just tell them that we're not just a jungle? Yeah, so don't think that Ecuador is just a jungle, okay? There's actually 3 distinct regions in the country. When you're thinking of the jungle, you'll probably think of the Oriente part. That's where the Amazon basin is. And yes, that will give you your jungle feel, okay? And then you have the highlands, or where the Andes are, the Western Andes and the Eastern Andes. You have that higher elevation there. And believe me, there's no jungles at higher elevation. They can't survive because there's not a lot of oxygen in the air. But there is some cool stuff to see there. And then you have the coastline, okay? So you can do your surfing and having your fun there. And oh yes, by the way, don't forget the Galapagos Islands. That's part of Ecuador, okay? So you have these 3 distinct regions. So don't think Ecuador is just jungle, okay? I know I'm in a cloud forest now, but just take my word for it, all right? My second don't for you is, don't think that Ecuador is just the Galapagos Islands. A lot of people just fly into Quito and then head out to Galapagos and then head out. Yes, the Galapagos are amazing. They're beautiful, but don't think you can do them on the cheap. Okay, the Galapagos Islands are very expensive to visit, so I'm just going to give you a heads up for that. So what's cool is you don't just have to visit the Galapagos. There's so much to see here in Ecuador. Remember those 3 regions? Yeah, you can have all kinds of stuff from surfing on the beaches, head down on the beaches, or visiting the highlands, or where the Andes are, which you can go be in Quito and see UNESCO World Heritage Quito. Yeah, go visit the equator, at the Mitad del Mundo, or you can go to Cuenca, another UNESCO World Heritage Site. There's a couple UNESCO World Heritage Site cities here. You could do that. And Cuenca's got these beautiful churches in the city and architecture that's there. And yes, grab your Panama hat and things like that when you are there. And yes, you can go down to the Amazon. And there's so much more to Ecuador than just the Galapagos. So make sure you do spend the time to visit more of the country. Now, those are the first 2 don'ts that the locals told me, and they asked me, please, Mark, share those, okay? Now we're going to get into my personal don'ts when you do come here. The one that got me first is, don't think that it's hot here all the time because you're on the equator. Yes, in the Amazon rainforest, it is hot and humid. And if you're on the coast, it's hot. In Galapagos, it's hot. But you know what? If you're going to be in the Andes, you're going to be in Quito, you're going to be in Cuenca, you're going to go to the cloud forest, look at me, jacket, multiple layers, and I'm still a little chilly. It actually gets cool here in the mountains, okay? So you need to bring a jacket, and yes, and maybe an umbrella too when you come here, because rain just pops up all the time here in Ecuador. But yeah, don't think it's hot here all the time, all right? Make sure you bring layers. I mean, I've been wearing jeans the entire time we've been here because we've been in the mountains most of the time, okay? So just have a heads up for that. So that's my first don't is, yeah, Mark, don't forget to pack extra layers, all right? My next don't for you is, don't mess around with the altitude or the UV rays, okay? One thing is, if you're going to be coming to Quito and Cuenca and Baños to do the adventure tourism, you're at very high elevations, okay? Quito is like 9,000 feet, okay? If you're going to go El Cajas National Park, that goes up to like 12,000 feet. It's very high up, and you have very intense UV rays here on the equator anyway, and once you get to higher elevations, man, it can be extremely strong. So you got to be really careful with that. So bring sunblock, and don't forget to bring good sunblock from home. Finding good sunblock here, you can find it, but it's really expensive, so bring it from home so you have that. Also, bring a hat or buy a hat when you're here. Have something to protect yourself. We've been having our kids in long sleeve shirts a lot of the times while they're here to protect themselves from the UV rays, so you got to be careful. So I know when you're at the higher elevations, it's even more intense than you are here, but anywhere you go, make sure you're lathering up on that sunblock. Another thing with that is the altitude. Don't mess with that altitude, because if you're going to be in Quito or Cuenca, you're at these really high elevations, it can get tough to breathe. But also with altitude sickness, you could have extreme nausea, headaches, just not a really good time when you are here. So do be careful when you first get here, especially you're going to be, if you're in the higher elevations. Yeah, on the coast in Galapagos, it doesn't make a really big difference. But the higher elevations, it can be. And if you have high blood pressure and you're going to be staying like, oh, we're going to be in Quito for a week and Cuenca for a week, make sure you talk to your doctor, because, man, those higher elevations and heart issues and high blood pressure, it can be dangerous, all right? Now, my next don't for you is, don't drink the tap water here in Ecuador. I don't care where you are in the country, don't drink it, all right? There's going to be plenty of bottled water where you go. Every hotel we've been to actually have given us bottles of water in our room, and then in their lobby, they had a big, water tank that you could fill up your water bottles with. So just make sure, remember, don't drink the water, the tap water at least. Also, if you're getting salads and stuff like that, if you're in the rural areas, don't be ashamed to say, you know what? No salad for me today. I don't want to take the chance. It's okay. Probably the biggest time you'll see something like that is if you go to the market and have Hornado, which is this baked pig for like 3 days, and they'll like pull the pork off and put it on a plate and give you like a potato pancake, and then they'll throw a salad on there. You're like, oh, no. I just want the meat and potato pancake. Thank you very much. The tortilla. That's all I want. So do be careful with that. Another thing, if you do have the tummy trouble, you might be having the runs. You got to run to the bathroom. One of the things you need to know is you do not throw the toilet paper down the toilet in Ecuador. All right. You'll see every place you go, there'll be a trash can by the toilet. You wipe your butt and you throw your toilet paper in the trash can, not down the toilet. The pipes can't handle it. Now, if you're like the Hilton or something like that, you probably can. Or at the airport, yes. But most places throughout the country, it doesn't matter if there's no sign. Okay. Put the toilet paper in the basket. All right. I know it sounds gross, but the people come and they take it away. You'll be okay. All right. And keeping on with our bathroom theme is don't forget to grab some toilet paper before you go into the toilet. Now, in your hotel and restaurants, usually toilet paper is actually where you sit. But if you're in some public places, sometimes the toilet paper is actually out by the sinks. And so you got to get the toilet paper before you go in there. And you make sure you want to get it before you go in because you don't be like, oh, there's no toilet paper. So do be careful with that. We actually carry tissues with us just in case. So just have a heads up for that one. Now, my next set of don'ts has to deal with money. First one is don't worry about exchanging money when you come to Ecuador because Ecuador uses the US dollar. Yes, the US dollar is the official currency of Ecuador. And so you can pay with US dollars here. The thing is, my next don't for you is don't bring big bills. 50s and 100s will not serve you well when you are here, okay? You want to go get singles, 5s, 10s, and 20s. Anything more than that, it's best not to buy. And don't freak out if you go to a market and you give somebody a 20 and they run off. They're going to make change because they don't have the change for that. So what I recommend is hit your bank up before you come. We took out about $250 in singles and 5s. We've already gone through them because we've been tipping people and buying stuff, but you want to have these lower denomination bills, okay? Another don't I want to tell you, this is one that this is one of those things I see where guidebooks copy off each other and things like that. When I've written all the guidebooks, I've looked online, they're like, oh yeah, you're going to find ATMs all over the place in the cities. It's going to be no problem to find that. Look, don't count on finding an ATM wherever you go. You go into the Oriente, man, don't expect to find anything. Get your cash before you go. And the thing is, the ATMs here, sometimes they're inside the bank, so they're only open during banking hours. Sometimes there's not a lot of them out there. Sometimes they might not take your card. Okay, so don't count on ATMs all the time. Even if the guidebook says, oh yes, they're all over the place. Man, that is a load of BS, okay? I'll tell you that. We've been traveling through the country, and it's always like, hey, where can we get money? Oh yeah, go 10 blocks down that way. There's a bank there. Thanks, I appreciate it, okay? And the thing is, you may think, well, I'm using US dollars. This must be going to be pricey when I'm here. Look, another thing about Ecuador is don't worry about breaking your bank. This place is super cheap. We stayed at a wonderful posada in Cuenca for $37 a night. We had a place in Quito that was like 40, 50 bucks a night. You can find places dirt cheap. Going out to eat, yeah, get out. What a lunch, $3, $4, $5. You can eat well when you are here. Yes, you can pay more, like $7 or $12 or $15 for stuff. You can do that, but this is a very cheap place to be, so don't worry about busting your bank. Another thing with your money here is don't forget to tip. Look, people don't make a lot of money here in Ecuador. Your tips make a huge difference. All right, so don't forget to tip. The people you're tipping, if you have a day trip and a guide's taking you all over, you got to tip them about $10. The driver that's driving you around with them, about $5. That's for a full day trip, okay? Don't forget to leave some money for the cleaning staff because it makes a huge difference for them. So we've been living $5 a day for the cleaning staff, but $2 or $3 a day is totally fine. And it does make a difference in their lives. And think about it. You spent like $4 on lunch. You can give them a couple bucks, as a tip to clean your room to help feed their family too. And it does make a huge difference. Now, next up, we're going to talk about some of the transportation don'ts when you are here. One thing I got to tell you is don't expect to get anywhere quickly when you are here in Ecuador, okay? Now, if you're going to fly around the country, okay, it'll be pretty quick. But honestly, man, you're going to be taking buses like Cuenca to Quito. You look on Google Maps, oh, it's 6 hours. The bus, 10 to 12 hours to get there. Yeah. And the thing is, you got all these roads and mountains and things like that. So don't be surprised when you ask people how far it is to get somewhere. They're not going to tell you kilometers or miles or stuff like that. They're going to tell you in hours time. You're like, wow, that's funny, because when I flew to Cuenca from Quito, it was an hour flight, but we were only in the air for 30 minutes. But the drive is 10 hours. What's going on? You have all this stuff because, man, you just have patience when you are here, when you're getting around. Also, have patience when it comes to eating at restaurants and waiting for your food and ordering your drinks and at shops. Just calm yourself. Don't get in a hurry, okay? Also, the transportation, getting around, when we look at driving, one, don't drive here. Hire a driver. They're pretty cheap, or hire a guy to drive you around. That's going to be one thing. Don't leave anything of value in the car. Even if you're doing a day trip, you got your bag with you, I'll just leave it in here as we walk around and go see the Basilica, the Volto Nacional in Quito or in Cuenca. Look, put your backpack on you, take it with you, leave the other stuff at the hotel, all right? Another don't is don't speed, because if you hit one of the speed bumps here at full speed, you're going to be like ramping it up there, so do be careful with that. If you're not going to drive by yourself, you want to take a taxi, don't just hop in a taxi here in Ecuador, okay? Call from your hotel, or have your hotel call for you, or have the restaurant you're staying at call for you, or make sure if it's during the day, you go to the taxi line and take an official taxi, because you don't just want to get one off the street, because they're having a lot of issues with that. The government even admits that. If you go to Quito, you'll see that the taxis have like emergency buttons and cameras and stuff like that, so just have a heads up for it. So don't just take one. The thing is, they're super cheap, so you're going to use them. Just make sure you take an official one, so you'll be okay. Another don't I have for you when it comes to cars is don't think the cars will give you the right of way. I don't care if it says green, it says walk, you should go. You have to pay attention because the cars will just go, and that's one of the most dangerous parts of actually Ecuador. We have a video on safety in Ecuador, and honestly, the biggest thing is you got to be careful crossing the street. We've seen people get hit, we've seen bikes getting hit, all kinds of stuff, and you do need to be careful. And the thing is, if you're in Quito, you might be sitting there for a while waiting, or Cuenca, you're going to be still at Quito. You're sitting for a while, like, man, when am I going to get a chance to go? When are they going to stop for me? They're not. Okay, so make sure you follow the locals and know when to go. Okay, so don't expect them to wait for you. Now, another thing you should know when you come here is don't skip out on reviewing your old Spanish lessons before you come here. English and the tourism trade and guides, it's very common. But if you're going to sites, they might only have one English guide that you have to wait for and things like that. So it's really makes a huge difference if you speak a little Spanish. And even our kids saying gracias and por favor and quisiera, I would like, has made a huge difference here because the people are super nice. And when you try to speak a little Spanish, they even get nicer. I don't know how it's possible, but the people are fantastic here. But you really make sure you don't forget those few nice Spanish words. Remember, gracias is thank you. Por favor is please. Adios is bye. All right, so have those things down. Now, the next don't goes to a question I get quite often. People ask me about Wi-Fi in different places. And here in Ecuador, I mean, Wi-Fi has been hit and miss where we've been going. Obviously, we're in a cloud forest. There's no Wi-Fi here, of course. But I actually get my 4G occasional pop up. What I've found is, like I said, it's very hit and miss. I find emails and websites I've had no problems with. But like streaming stuff and things like that can be a problem. So you might need to go to a better hotel that has better internet. But I have seen a lot of stores and a lot of cafes and restaurants actually do have Wi-Fi. Just ask for the password and you'll be fine. But don't expect super fast Wi-Fi when you are here. So our next don't is don't forget to check the schedules. Look, if you want to go see a church, you might want to check online. You might want to check beforehand when they're open because things aren't always open the entire day through. You might want to go into a campania in Quito or a church in Cuenca, and you're like, oh, I can't go in right now. Now we're closed for an hour for mass. Check the schedule to make sure you can go in. One thing I will say is, don't be surprised if stores are closed in the afternoon for the siesta time. Quito, I didn't see it as much, but I did see it a lot in some of the smaller towns. For having a heads up for that. Also, don't expect things to be opened late night. I know if you've been to Argentina before, you're like, oh, we go out to dinner at midnight. No, here, even in Quito, there's restaurants that are closed at 8 o'clock at night. So you might want to be eating earlier and have a heads up for that one. Also, don't expect to do anything on Sunday, all right? Stores, they're all closed, okay? Restaurants, a lot of them are closed, even in Quito. So make sure you have a plan for your Sundays. Hey, that's a relaxing day, or we're going to go do a hike or something like that. Those adventure kind of things, those things will be open and you can still visit some churches and things like that. But shopping, restaurants, they really go down in terms of being open on Sundays, okay? Now, my next two don'ts have to deal with when you're in the higher altitudes. I know I mentioned altitude sickness before, but one thing is don't overeat at the high altitudes because when you're at the high altitudes, you don't have as much oxygen to work on your digestion. It's working on other parts of your body. So you'll get full faster. You'll stay full longer. So if you overeat, you're really going to feel miserable. Okay. So don't overeat at the high altitudes. Another thing is, in your high altitudes, don't be surprised if you're a little gassy. Look, we're at high altitudes, you tend to toot more. And even if you're like, wait, I didn't do anything. Why am I tooting so much? You will have that, or you might have that when you are here. And we've seen that with other tours. We've seen that with ourselves. So just have a heads up with the tooting when it comes to high altitudes, okay? Now, another thing that kind of relates to high altitudes, if you're in places like Cuenca and other places, you might see some Inca ruins. And the thing is, don't think that the Incas were here forever in Ecuador. Actually, the Inca were only here for about 100 years or less before the Spanish came. There were other tribes that were here before the Incas. Quito is actually from Quito, a tribe that was in the Quito region before the Incas, okay? So just one little history thing you should know about that. Now, my next note for you is don't avoid the national products. That would be chocolate, potatoes, bananas, and corn. You will see them popping out all over. They have amazing chocolate here, really fine chocolate. Bring some. It's great to bring back for guests. And potatoes, yeah, potatoes will pop up in a lot of different stuff. My favorite potato thing to eat here is actually a soup. It's called locro, which is like a potato and cheese soup, and they put like avocado on top. It's so good. Corn will pop up, like I said, in tortillas and stuff like that. And yeah, don't be surprised if you find that popcorn is your side dish or sprinkle on top of your food. Yes, it does happen. But I'd go for the tostados and beer. That's the best way to go. And then I guess there's some other things you should know is in terms of food, don't freak out about the Hornado. Hornado, you'll see when you go to the markets and stuff or on the side of the road, you'll see these big pigs, okay? It'll be like a stuffed pig, and you'll go up there like, can I get some Hornado? And they'll just grab it and pull the meat out from it. Oh, it is so good. It's true pulled pork. Oh, it's baked for like 4 days. Hornado means like in the oven. Oh, man. It's so amazing. And when you have it, remember, don't eat the lettuce when you have it with it, okay? But don't be freaked out by it. There's also some other ones out there where they just burn the skin off and just peel the skin off and give it to you. There's that too, but yeah, don't worry about the Hornado. Also, don't freak out when you see the guinea pigs. Now, we all know guinea pigs is our little pet from grade school. Here, it's a tasty treat that we skewer and serve up on a rotisserie going around as it's in its, little twirly grilling motion. Look, cuy is guinea pig, and it is a traditional dish here. And if you go in the rural areas, you'll see that people actually have cages full of guinea pigs. Like, oh, that's so cute. Yeah, and that's dinner too. Oh, so just have a heads up for that one. So don't get freaked out about it. It's a traditional dish. It's something they've been eating here for hundreds of years. And my last note for you for here in Ecuador is don't think just because the guidebooks say it's a US plug that you're always going to get the 3-prong US plug. A lot of times you only get 2 little sockets like this. So if you're bringing a computer or something like that, it won't have a place for the third one. Now, there some places you will have the 3, but not everywhere. So make sure you have at least a kind of adapter that will go for just 2 of those US plugs. Also, it's 110 volts, so it might take a little bit longer to charge things up, but I just want to give you the heads up for that. But honestly, I'll tell you, coming to Ecuador has been a really great surprise. The people are wonderful. We've had such a great time. The nature here, this really is an ecotourism boom place, and you should come here. Yes, not just Galapagos, but all over the country. So if you want to learn more, 10 things that'll shock you when you come to Ecuador, 5 things you'll love and hate about visiting Quito, or 5 things you love and hate about visiting South America, check us out on our website at woltersworld.com. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. It's all Wolters World, whichever one you want. And we do appreciate your likes, subscriptions. And if you like honest travel videos like this, click that subscribe button. We put out new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. And if I got more time, I'll put out another one every week as well, so you can learn more. And we really appreciate all your support that's out there. Thank you to everybody for the subscriptions, the likes, and everything. It makes a world of difference to us. We hope you have a great time here in Ecuador, but don't worry, you will. Bye from the Bay of Vista Cloud Forest, about 2 hours outside of Quito. Bye.